Hello guys, and we are live. Woohoo! I was just about to say hi Plant Power Health and I realized that I have changed the name of the group. Of course I have. So if I call everyone Plant Power Health, and say hi, how you doing? Just remember that that's who I see you as. The reason I changed the group was to make it easier for people just like searching for help and support on Facebook generally. They could search for the terms and find the group easily. So, but I still consider the group my gang, my Plant Power Health gang. So anyway, if I say hi Plant Power Health, that's what I'm talking about. So, hi Chuck, hi Joe. I can see both of you are here today. For anybody else who's joining us, give us a wave and a like and whatever. And yeah, so I'm here to answer your questions today. I have got a few questions that have been asked of me, so I can get started on those if nobody else has any questions right now. So the first question I had was talking to somebody who's considering whole food plant-based, all right? But they were really unsure, a little bit confused about whether they're going to get enough nutrients. I think this is confusion from other people talking to them about saying that, if they drop animal products from their diet, then they're not going to get enough nutrients. So the question was really around, am I going to get enough nutrients in my diet to be healthy? So my answer to that to start with is what are nutrients? What are we looking for here when we say the word nutrients? I guess taking a step back, we've got our macronutrients, which are our protein, fats and carbs. And then we've got our micronutrients, which are all the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all of the smaller chemicals that go on in our body. From a macronutrient perspective, yes, absolutely, you can get all of your macronutrients from whole plant foods. In fact, did you know that every single plant food contains a combination, varying ratios, but of protein, carbs, and fats? So, yes, you can get all of your macronutrients for sure from a whole plant-based diet. Can you get all your micronutrients? Absolutely. Once again, our micronutrients actually are nutrients that come from the earth in some way. They don't necessarily come from animals. So you've got vitamins, minerals, they all come from the earth, or not necessarily soil, but from Mother Nature in some way. Even the animals that we eat in our diet, they need to eat their micronutrients too, just as they need to eat their macronutrients. And where do most of those animals get it from? They get it from the plant foods that they're being fed. A cow's natural diet is grass. Even though they're being fed grains and all sorts of stuff these days, their natural diet is grass. So they get all of their protein, their carbohydrates, their fats, all their micronutrients as well from eating grass. If we're then eating the animal to get those nutrients, we're really just getting it recycled. We're not getting the clean, original source of nutrients. So, without going into too much detail in that, I really just want to sort of stand back and just sort of allay your fears. Hey Janet, good to see you. I really just want to allay your fears that you can't get all of your nutrients from a plant-based diet. You absolutely can. The next question that sort of led on from that was, how much do I need for health? Okay, how many of each of these different nutrients do I need for good health? And I was listening to an absolutely fascinating, it was like a live presentation from Dr. T. Colin Campbell the other day. Oh my goodness, it was fascinating. If you don't know who he is the author of the China Study, and he is one of the, I guess, key people on Forks Over Knives. He's a nutritional biochemist, and he is an amazing nutritional science brain. He was talking about how amazing our human body actually is when it comes to all of the billions and billions of reactions that happen in our body as we eat, all the millions of different chemical reactions that happen, and these are things we don't even know about. So if you consider when we're eating the fuel that our body actually wants to eat, which is plant foods, our body is so easily able to regulate what we uptake from what we eat versus what it just flushes out through normal flushing out systems, and also it's able to draw out more of what it does need, and it's able to block what it doesn't need. So for example, I think one of the questions was how much is too much of each different nutrient, or how much is not enough of each different nutrient. This is where T. Colin Campbell says that zeroing in on different nutrients is incredibly beneficial in understanding what each of those nutrients do. But in terms of understanding how much we need, he said it's a waste of time even trying to understand this, trying to study this, because the human body is so good at regulating exactly what it needs and uptaking what it needs and discarding what it doesn't, that it's waste of time us even trying to give recommended daily intake amounts. I found this absolutely fascinating, and because T. Colin Campbell is such a whiz when it comes to nutritional science, it made so much sense to me. So if you might be feeling like you are wanting to transition to plant-based eating, but you're really hesitant because you don't know, you don't know if you're going to be able to get all your nutrients for one, and you don't know how many of each of the different types of nutrients you should be eating and what foods you need to be eating, I really want to take you a step backwards and say, when you eat whole plant foods, you are going to get all the nutrition that you need, because your body, one, it's the right fuel for your body, and two, your body is going to be able to pick and choose which nutrients it wants to uptake versus which it doesn't. So when we're eating foods like this, for example, let's say iron, too much iron in the body is oxidative. But when it comes to plant iron, our body can regulate exactly how much it needs. It stops when it's got enough, all right? But when we're consuming animal iron, that's heme iron, our body can't regulate that, and it continues to uptake it. And similarly, when we're looking at supplements, if you are considering, taking supplements with your diet, you think you might need to take supplements because you won't get all your nutrition from whole plant foods. This can be incredibly dangerous as well, because again, with supplements, the body either struggles to uptake because it's not in a natural form, or it can struggle to regulate, in which case high levels can be forming in the body and can be quite dangerous to the body. So, on the best case scenario, you're just peeing away good money. On the worst case scenario, you could be causing a lot of damage to your death. So yeah, just stand back a moment. And that's what T. Colin Campbell was talking about. Instead of zeroing in so much on all the little micro details, we need to really stand back and look at the whole picture. He calls it holism, not with an H, with a W, because it's holism. It's looking at the whole body and whole nutrition together. So yeah, that's just for anybody who's considering whole food plant-based and you're not sure if you're going to be able to get all your nutrients. Just be assured that yes, you can. That might be a long-winded way of saying it. If anyone here has any questions, you please let me know. I just see what that is here. All right. And next question I had was, okay, around kids. I think someone had some kids, and raising kids vegan or plant-based, and considering raising them plant-based, but have been getting criticism from other people around them, say family members or friends, criticism saying that you can't raise your kids this way because they need these essential nutrients from animal foods. They need protein from animal foods to grow strong. They need calcium from cow's milk to grow strong bones. I'm going to stop and say, what if the opposite was true? we know that the opposite is true for us as adults. Okay, there's been a lot of science out there that tells us that all animal products, no matter what the origin, no matter whether they're organic or grass-fed, or how well they were raised, the animal protein and the animal fat still is inflammatory to our bodies. Yes, there may be less disease within the animal, there may be less pesticides and antibiotics and all that sort of stuff, but the actual protein and the actual fat is inflammatory to our bodies. So it doesn't matter how that animal was raised. So if it's dangerous to us as human adults, why on earth would it be safe for a child? Well, I know we want to do the best for our children, right? We want to make sure that our kids grow up with strong bones, with strong muscles. We want them to be healthy. But we know that animal products are carcinogens to ourselves. They are cancer causing. They cause all sorts of disease in our bodies. So giving them to our children is kind of doing our kids a disservice. So I just want to allay your fears there as well if you have children and you're not sure whether you're making the right decision for them, raising them as whole food plant-based. I want to assure you that absolutely you are. You're giving them the best start in life. You're not starting them on the back foot. You're not starting them off creating disease in their body from a very young age. I wish I'd known this. My mother raised us on whole foods, but we were still eating meat. We were still eating dairy. And, it led to virtually down the line for me, developing all sorts of issues in my body. Even though I went vegetarian, I developed all sorts of chronic digestive issues, skin issues. I got skin cancer. That was my wake-up call. I'm going back to vegan, and then I discovered whole food plant-based, and I went, you know what, that's it for me. So, yeah, make sure if you are considering whole food plant-based for your kids, you are making the right decision, okay? All you need to make sure is that they're getting enough calories. All right, and I think depending on the age of your child, you may need to give them a little more fat, all right, as well, because children do need a bit more fat. But please touch base if you need to consult with a dietitian or someone like that. Make sure that you do touch base with them with regards to the levels of things like fat for a growing child, but make sure if you're wanting to be plant-based that you are consulting with a plant-based dietitian. Has anyone got any questions? Hey Adira, good to see you here. Feel free to write your questions here live, guys. I'm pretty sure they pop up for me. Pretty sure I can see them. I can only just see who's on camera or who's watching at the moment. Anyway, moving on. The next question I was asked is around protein powder. Do I need a protein powder? What sort of protein powder is best? I'm here to tell you that protein powders are not necessary in your diet. You can get, and you'll get more than enough protein for your body's needs on a whole food plant-based diet. Right, protein powders are usually some sort of isolated protein that's been isolated from the whole food. So, for example, soy isolate protein. It's where they've taken the soybean and they've taken out all the goodness and they've left with the protein over here. Or pea protein, you've got the whole pea and then take out all the fiber and all the vitamins and minerals and the fats and everything, and you leave the protein over here. That's not a whole food. The pea's the whole food. So, and same with the soy. The soybean is the whole food. So when you're isolating out single nutrients from a food, that's when it becomes no longer a whole food. So those are the sorts of foods that we really want to avoid. And we don't actually need to be taking them. They're not necessarily good for us, okay? Yes, you can get some that are better than others, but we just don't need them. When you are eating whole plant foods, you are going to get enough protein. There is a real protein myth out there. The protein needs that we have as humans are nowhere near as high as popular society would have us believe. Now, just one thing I want to throw out there for you is that think of a time in your life when you are exponentially growing, right? Okay, I'm going to say you start this big and you end up this big. No. It's when you're a baby. When you're a baby, right? That's when you are your smallest and you're doubling in size pretty damn rapidly. You've got bone development, you've got nerve development, you've got brain development, you've got muscle development. Everything is kind of all the final developments into your human being happens outside the womb. Now, what is the best type of food for a baby, for a growing baby? And I mean this in, when Mother Nature is working properly, okay? We know there are cases where sometimes it doesn't, but essentially the best food for a growing baby we all know to be mother's milk. Now, for people who can't breastfeed, that's not a judgment against you. It's, this is just billions of years of evolution, and this is what nature has given us as the perfect food to start our baby's life, right? So if that is the perfect food for a human being, a baby human being who is exponentially growing in size, how much protein do you think there should be in that food? Most people might think it's quite high. It's actually not. It's around 4 to 5%. 4 to 5% of calories in mother's milk is from protein. So in popular culture today, most people are eating around up to sort of 20% plus of protein, which is really high. It's really high, okay? So we don't need that much. Recommended rates usually sit around that 8 to 10%, and that's usually to take into consideration any I guess individual variance amongst people with regards to things like protein uptake and sporting needs and things like that. But if you sit around that 10%, you're going to be fine. You're going to get more than enough for your needs, no matter what your level of activity. Okay, here's the kicker. I think the person who asked this question about protein powder was somebody who's very highly active and thought that they might need extra protein. No, the kicker here is you just need more calories. As an active person, say somebody who's inactive may need about 1,500 calories. I'm just pie in the sky here. I don't know what the numbers are anymore. I think 1,500 is probably a good guess for somebody like a smallish female who's not active at the moment. But say an active male could be up to 3,000 calories or maybe even more. Now, if that person just keeps their protein percentage at around 10%, that's going to give them more grams. It's going to give them the extra protein grams that they need. You do not need to switch the protein percentage. When you do that, you start risking decreasing your carbohydrate intake. Now, if you're active, do you think your carbohydrate needs, your energy needs are going to be more, or are they going to be less? They're going to be more, right? So you do not want to cut back on your carbohydrate percentage either. And if you're cutting your carbohydrate percentage too, what then goes up? It's fat. And is fat going to get you towards your energy goals, any weight goals that you have? Most people who are quite athletic don't want to have high fat because it's going to slow them down. So no, you don't want your fat percentage to go up too. So you just need to keep all of those ratios roughly in portion. Do you need to count anything? No. When you eat a whole food plant-based diet, your macros are going to just naturally sit where they should. All right, we can do a little bit of switching here and there with some plant fats and things like that, but really you don't need to think about it too much. I don't want you to overthink things, all right? So do you need protein powder? No. It's not an essential in your diet. It's not necessarily great for you in that it's not a whole food, and you don't really want to be lifting or purposefully pushing up your protein percentage of overall calories too. My next question here was from someone who had come from a keto, or was coming from a keto diet. I seem to be attracting a lot of ex-keto people at the moment, which is great actually, because I want to save everyone from keto. Want to save everyone from hurting themselves. So I was chatting to this person, and they said they'd lost a lot of weight on keto previously. But they felt terrible. So they were now trying whole food plant-based. So I've written my notes down here, which is why I'm constantly looking down. They were now trying whole food plant-based, but were really, really, really scared about weight gain. Like, this whole keto world has drilled into people that carbohydrates are fattening. I want to free your mind. I want to free you from all of that. Like, how great are carbs? How much does everyone love eating carbs? They're not called comfort foods. I mean, they're called comfort foods for a reason, because they make us feel good. Okay, so this person come from keto, had lost a lot of weight, felt terrible, was now transitioning to whole food plant-based, and was worried about gaining weight on carbs. In fact, they had started gaining weight on carbohydrates, and they were wanting to, if whoever you are, if any of you out there resonate with this topic as well, please listen closely. My advice to them, or my feedback to them, was that okay, I'll try and give you a metaphor. If you are going to empty your body of carbohydrates, which is what the plan is, carbohydrates is your number one energy store, right? Energy source, right? We store it in our muscles and in our liver. So when we don't eat carbohydrates, we deplete our body of our number one source of fuel. So the body is forced into burning fat for fuel, our number two source. Now, this is not our preferred source of fuel because it's kind of slow. You can kind of liken it to, putting really crappy grade petrol in a car versus top quality petrol, something that's just going to make your car splutter and just feel slow and sluggish, right? So that's what trying to burn fat for fuel is a little bit like. But here's the thing: if you're trying to go on this diet to burn stored body fat in order to lose weight, what is the sense of upping your dietary fat, continually pouring that into your body? I've never quite understood that logic. It's like, having a bath full of water and draining the whole out one end while continually turning the tap on at the other. Our body takes dietary fat and converts it to body fat so easily. It only burns about 3% of the calories overall to do that transaction, because body fat is it's virtually the same thing. Like, particularly in the keto diet, when you're eating animal fat, that's the stored animal's fat. It's exactly the same as our fat. And it takes no effort for our body to convert that to our own body fat. So to me, it just didn't make sense. But why do people lose weight? They lose weight on the scale because they're losing all the carbohydrate weight that they've stored in their muscles, for one. For every gram of carbohydrate that is stored in our muscle cells, 2.7 grams of water are attached. So we're losing 3.7 grams per cell, I think it is, something like that. But for every gram of carbohydrate we lose 2.7 grams of water. So, that's a lot of weight that is not body fat, right? What is also lost, and this is really, really interesting, because our body does need glucose, right? Glucose is our number one source of fuel, particularly for our brain. And you'll speak to a lot of keto people who say they get really bad brain fog. What's happening there? Our brain has to function. Our brain cannot use fat as a fuel source, and the body can't actually turn fat into glucose either. That transaction can't work. What the body does is it turns to our muscle stores, not our dietary protein, but our muscle stores, and it starts to break down our muscle stores and turn that into glucose for fuel, because we need to keep functioning, right? We're human beings, and this is how we work. So by muscle is active tissue, and by it consumes calories. So when we're breaking down our active muscle tissue, what it's actually doing is slowing down our metabolism. So the more muscle most people know that the more muscle you have, the higher your base metabolic rate. But what we're doing here is we're actually breaking down our muscle stores to use for fuel, to turn to glucose to use for fuel. So therefore, we're reducing our base metabolic rate. Now, all the other reasons that people start to feel crappy when they're on keto, refer to, I can go into detail for so long about all of the harmful effects of eating animal products and eating high saturated fat, but I won't do that here. So I think we can go into that in another session about what happens. But so why do people then put on weight when they come back to, say, eating whole food plant-based from keto? They start to feel better, but they're like, oh, but the scale's going up. Okay, so here's what's going on. One, your body is replenishing your muscle stores with glucose. So think of filling your car back up with petrol. You've run it on empty, you've run it down, you're not running anymore, the car won't go. You've got to put some fuel in it for it to go. So, of course, a car that is full of fuel is going to weigh more than a car that has no fuel. Simple, right? So you're filling your muscle stores back with glucose, right? That's your energy. For every gram you store 2.7 grams of water. So part of it is water. But you got to remember that while you were in this ketosis state, your body was breaking down protein, muscle, to convert to glucose for energy. So as a result, your base metabolic rate has come down. So what most people do is they go back and eat food, but because their base metabolic rate has reduced, they've got less muscle than they started with, they can't burn fuel as efficiently. So any extra fuel, any extra calories that they eat, any overeating of calories is not burned off as quickly or as easily. So they end up storing that as well. So most of the weight that comes back on is not necessarily fat. What they were losing was not necessarily fat. Weight on the scales is very, very difficult to gauge if that's the only thing you're going by. Which is why I like to say when we focus on health, we lose weight as a result, as a byproduct. When we focus on weight, we lose health as a byproduct. All right, so I think that whole keto mindset has got people focused on their weight, and they don't care about their health until they get sick, which is quite unfortunate. But for anyone who's been on this journey, or who wants to know more about this, or who is trying to convert from keto into a plant-based diet and wants to do it in a way that's going to be healthy and going to help them achieve their not just weight goals, but I'm talking like overall health and body and self-image, self-love goals, please just book a time to come and have a chat to me. All right, you can find a calendar booking in the welcome message at the top of the group. So please, I'd love to talk to you about how my 12-week program can actually help you on this journey, and do it properly, instead of resorting to tactics that I think keto is. Great to have you guys still here watching. The next question I had was, someone just went, help, I need some recipe inspiration. Don't we all, when we're starting out on this journey? I remember all I wanted was some recipe inspiration. I felt like I was having to start this whole journey again. And I think that was one of the things that held me back for so long too, because most of my recipes included, even when I was coming from vegetarian, most of my recipes included dairy of some sort. I was still cooking with eggs. I made my own pasta and my own gnocchi and stuff like that, and everything included either eggs or cheese or dairy or something. So yeah, I felt like I was having to start all over again. So in Plant Power Health, I'm doing it again, in plant-based health and weight loss support group, all you need to do is find the recipes topic, click on that, and a whole bunch of recipes are going to come up for you. These are recipes that I've posted, these are recipes that other people have posted, and if any of you out there have some amazing recipes that you'd like to share with us as well, please post them in the group, because the more info, the more help we can give each other, the better that is. So that's one place you can get resources or recipes. Excuse me, my neighbourhood has just erupted into sirens. Welcome to living in St Kilda in Melbourne. The next place is, I've got some free recipe download. There's about 15-20 recipes in there now. That's also in the welcome post in this group, so go and grab that. I think you just there's a link. You just pop your details into the link, and then they're going to be emailed off to you. And the next, if you're brand new, or if you haven't yet started to your transition, and you just kind of don't know where to start, you just want a little bit of a helping hand, I've got a 21-day challenge in there as well. That can be a really good one to get people going, because it's quite structured. It's 3 weeks. It gives you the recipes, the meal plans, the shopping lists for 3 weeks. It also goes into some of the changes that you may experience in your body as you shift away from a diet that is not whole food plant-based to a whole food plant-based diet. So, and it gives you things like symptom tracking as well, so you can actually see the progress that you're making in your body, and actually physically document what's happening in your body, and start to feel better even in 3 weeks, and start to lose some weight. People who've done this one in the past have had some absolutely amazing results, like from hormonal rebalancing. One of my clients got her period back. She hadn't had it. She used to get it every 6 to 9 months, and it actually came back during that 3-week challenge. Another had really quite irritated skin, and that really softened up and went away for her. Another was having terrible, menopausal, not able to sleep at night, and suddenly her sleep was so much better, and she decided as a result of doing that she was sold on plant-based. She was going to go plant-based, which is amazing. But yeah, people have lost weight, increased their energy, all sorts of stuff, and they can't believe the changes in their bodies. So if you are somebody who is considering and just want a foot in the door to get you going, I definitely highly recommend doing that challenge. It is fantastic. Yeah, and I think that was all of the questions. That were all of the questions that I had pre set up for me. If any of you guys watching do have any questions, I haven't seen anything come up as yet, so I haven't seen any questions come up yet, so I'm going to assume that you don't have any questions for now. So thank you all for watching, and I will sign off here. And I'm looking to do this weekly for you guys, and just answer any questions that you have if there is the need. Looking to find the right time. Obviously, we've got lots of different time zones in this group. I realize that this is probably not the best time of day for the southern hemisphere, because it's kind of it's like 1:30 p.m. for us. Most people will be at work. But for the northern hemisphere, I thought this might be better. It's sort of more evening time for you up there, so I thought this might be better. I might end up doing a couple of Q&A times, but yeah, just testing this out. If we get a good response, then I'll definitely keep it going. But yeah, I want to find a way to serve you all, because I'm passionate, very, very passionate about plant-based eating, about eating this way, and it's more than just about me. It's more than just about people, I want to have a big impact on what's happening in the world, in terms of the animals and the environment, and global pandemics, and helping people become successful at plant-based eating. I see as a big way of helping of achieving that goal. Now I'm going to sign off, and so's little Cougar. You probably heard her meowing. Say goodbye, Cougar. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. If you've got any questions that you think of later that you would like me to answer, just either send them to me or drop them in the comments below, and I'll bring them up next time. Cheers for now. Bye.